Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new or if you're coming over from the playlist. I'm Holly and I'm happy you're here today for this collaboration video. We get to share with you some cozy fall food favorites of our own that we hope that you will enjoy as well. And I'm going to leave the playlist down below in the description box of all my YouTube friends making some delicious recipes for this one. Please be sure to check that out. It is also being hosted by Valerie at Valerie Hargett and Tiffany at Small Town 6. These are two very sweet friends. They have some really great content on their channels, lots of great food content that I know that you will enjoy, and you will find some really good recipes that you can make for your family. So please be sure to check their channels out. I'm going to leave their links down below as well. And now I'm going to show you what it is I made for this collaboration. I hope that you enjoy the recipes and I hope that you enjoy this video. And where I'm from, we have lots of different seasons, and one of those is gumbo season. So this is for fall, winter time, but we do make this throughout the year. But definitely fall time is when to enjoy some homemade gumbo. And I'm going to make a chicken and sausage gumbo, but for this you will need roughly 2 large onions chopped, about a half a cup of celery, a half a cup of green bell pepper, and a half a cup of some green onions chopped up. I have about 3 garlic cloves and a bay leaf, some parsley, and that's about 1/4 of a cup or so. For the roux, you will need equal parts oil and equal parts flour. So a half a cup of oil and a half a cup of flour. Salt, pepper, some Tony Chacheres, and some garlic powder is what I use to season this. And I do season my chicken first. So I have about 8 pieces of chicken thighs with the bone in, and I took the skin off, and I'm going to brown that up. But I like to season that first, just to make sure that there's some seasoning on that chicken, and that seasoning will also go into the gumbo as well. And I usually like to have about 2 pounds or so of some smoked sausage. You can put any type of sausage you want. Now you can put the chicken in the gumbo raw if you want to let it cook, but I prefer to brown it up just a little bit. So that's what I'm doing here, just getting it a little bit brown on each side. It's not going to be cooked all the way through at all, so it'll still have time to finish cooking in the gumbo itself. So then once I get all of that browned, I take that out of the pan, and then I'm going to cook my sausage a little bit. You can absolutely add the sausage to the gumbo after you cut it. You don't have to cook it down. I just like to get some of that grease off, but I also like to get some color onto and some crispiness to the sausage as well. So that's why I do that, and I'll just pat some of that grease off. But I just use the same pan that I did for the chicken, and less cleanup. Now my gumbo pot has seen better days. That enamel, it's just stained. It just, over time, I've had this for I don't know how many years, and it's clean, it's just stained. For whatever reason, this particular enameled pot is hard to get that stain out. But you want to add equal parts oil, so it's a half a cup of oil and a half a cup of all-purpose flour. And I will whisk this until it gets to be a dark brown roux. So almost like a Hershey bar to a certain extent. And I'm not sure if it's picking up on the camera because I feel like my roux is darker than what it is showing in this. So I'm going to try to show you later how dark the roux should be, because you do want a darker roux for gumbo. And I do add, once I get the roux the color that I want, I add the onions in with that and the rest of the veggies, like the celery and the bell pepper and the green onions, and just mix that in, cook that down until the onions become kind of translucent. So I cook this on a lower heat so that doesn't burn, but I want those onions to sweat and to get softer. Then I add in the garlic, and then I'll add in the parsley, and just continue, to cook that in. And I add those in towards the end of the onions being, almost done. Now I add in my water. For this one, I added 4 quarts of water. So you can add less. I was making a big pot, so you can definitely add less than the 4 quarts, anywhere from 2 to 4. Then I'm just whisking to make sure that flour and everything, the roux, does not stick to the bottom of the pan. Now I'm adding the chicken that is not thoroughly cooked. I'm adding that into the pot. And this is going to cook for several hours, so you don't need to worry about that not being cooked. And add in the sausage, a bay leaf, and just stir that up. I covered this, cooked it for several hours, and this I thought maybe gave you a better look at what the color of the roux should be. So it's kind of like a dark Hershey, or like a Hershey's chocolate kind of color. I feel like this is more of the color that was in the pot when I was trying to show it to you. My lighting was not that great. So you want to kind of get that dark roux, because that's what you want for gumbo. And it doesn't really show it in here, and that's why I wanted to show that to you. After several hours of it cooking, I took the chicken out, shredded it, and not really shredded it, kind of cut it up into smaller pieces, and just added it back into the pot and let that heat through. And I will usually add okra to this as well, but I thought I had some in my freezer, and I did not, so I couldn't add it. But if you do add okra, you want to kind of fry it down just a little bit before you add it, because it takes the slime out of it, and it doesn't make your gumbo slimy. But make sure to take the bay leaf out of your gumbo once it's done. You don't want to eat that. And I did season, which I did not show, with salt, pepper, Tony Chachere's, and the Tabasco I put in my bowl when I take it out. But make sure to add seasoning as you're cooking this. Layer your seasoning as you go, because it will be bland if you don't. So make sure you add, especially Tony Chachere's. This helps to flavor your gumbo really, really well. And as I said, the Tabasco, I like to add in my own bowl, so that way I can adjust, how much I like the heat and everything. But I don't put it in the gumbo pot, so that way everybody can, choose their own flavoring. But this is what it looks like when it comes out. I had it with some rice on top, and a lot of that, it's not a lot, it's more juice to rice in your gumbo. But it really was delicious, really did enjoy it. So just an easy way to make a good hot pot of gumbo. And this next recipe is going to be for dessert, and it will be turtle bars that are made in the CrockPot. So this is a very simple and easy recipe that I think is a cozy fall treat. And it is from this cookbook that I have, Fix It and Forget It, Slow Cooker Surprises. I've cooked from this before on my channel, but this one has a good recipe for turtle bars. And like I said, very simple and easy to make, and not many ingredients for this. You will need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and you want to separate that, so divide it into 1 cup and then 3/4. Then you will need 20 tablespoons of butter, or 2.5 sticks of butter, and you want that softened. Also 1 cup of chocolate chips, and 1 1/4 cups of pecan halves. And very simple and easy to put together, and I'm going to show you how quickly you can do this. Add 1 stick of butter to a bowl, then add your flour, and then you will add 1 cup of the brown sugar. And you want to just mix this until everything's fully incorporated. So you want to break up that butter a little bit. And then I'm going to switch from the spatula, and I'm going to use my pastry blender to mix it up the rest of the way. And you basically want to get a crumbled mixture. So just continue, and if you don't have a pastry blender, that's okay, you can use a fork. but just try to get it to where it's kind of crumbly type mixture, and that butter kind of gets broken in really well with it, so you kind of form a crust, and you can kind of see what it should look like. I spray my crock pot with some non-stick spray, and then I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper and I'm going to line the crock pot with that and spray the inside a little bit. Then add the crust, and that parchment paper will help lift out the turtle bars a little easier. But you can absolutely just cut it while it's in the crock pot. Then you just want to make sure that this gets firmly patted down. So I used my hand first, then I used a measuring cup to finish it. Then I added those pecans on top, spread it out evenly, and I took the 1.5 sticks of butter that were left and the 3/4 cup of sugar, melted that on the stove for about a minute, and then just poured that over the pecans. And just take a spoon to kind of spread it over the rest of the pecans that are showing. But then take a paper towel, put it over your crock pot, and then put the lid on it. This will catch the condensation. And you will put this on high for 3 to 3.5 hours, so keep an eye on it. And then once that time is up, unplug it, turn it off, and add your chocolate chips over the top. And just spread it as evenly as you can. Take a knife and then just swirl it through the chocolate chips a few times, and you want to just keep a few of those chips whole, but just continue to, pass the knife through the chocolate chips. And I also go the other way, and that just helps to spread that on top. But as I said, you want to keep a few of the chocolate chips whole. To take it out of the crock pot, all you need to do is just lift it up by the parchment paper, and you want to make sure this is completely cooled before you do that so it doesn't crack, and just let it lay out on the counter for a few minutes. I like to let the chocolate set up just a little bit more before I start to cut it. And this is the thickness you'll get in a 6-quart crock pot, so a little different than if you baked it in a 8x8 or a 9x9 baking dish. And this is what it looks like after you cut them into bars. So really delicious. Really did enjoy this, and it almost had a praline taste to it. I think that brown sugar kind of brings that out. So if you've ever had a praline, I think you kind of know what I'm talking about flavor wise. But the chocolate didn't quite set up as quickly as I thought it would, but I think if it's left out a little longer, it will dry out, and I could see little spots where it was starting to do that. And what's better with those turtle bars than a nice cup of hot chocolate, and perfect for watching some Christmas movies. And I think that makes this a really cozy dessert during the fall season. But don't forget to check the playlist down below in the description box, along with Valerie and Tiffany's channels. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and this collaboration. If you did, please give this a thumbs up. And if you're interested in seeing more like it, please click that subscribe button and the notification bell. That will notify you when I post new videos. Hope everyone has a blessed day. I thank y'all so much for watching. God bless y'all.